So we're heading to Nepal to trek, right?
Right.
And one of the things that people always ask me is, how much should you tip your trekking guide?
Well, that is the question, isn't it?
Yeah. And I always say, that's a great question, and I need to do a little research.
You do.
Luckily for all of us, David Ways has written extensively about this in his Nepal guidebooks, which, by the way,
Yeah.
last update in 2025, so it is up to date.
It is.
And it turns out tipping in Nepal is not quite as simple as you might think.
No. I think a lot of people would be surprised to learn that it's not traditionally a part of Nepalese culture.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did it even start?
Well, it actually kind of goes back to the 70s when mountaineering was becoming more popular and Westerners were coming over and bringing with them their tipping customs.
So they just started tipping, and people were like, oh, okay, this is a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was introduced with those mountaineering guides and then sort of trickled down to trekking guides and porters as trekking became more popular.
Okay, so it was like an external influence. It wasn't really like something that came from within the culture itself.
Exactly.
So what kind of, that makes it, in a way it makes it trickier, right? Because there's no kind of like long-standing tradition to fall back on.
Right.
It's sort of like a more, recent phenomenon. So how do we navigate that then?
Well, David Ways offers a very kind of practical, simple formula,
Okay.
and I think this is a really good starting point for people. He says, think of it as 10% of your total trek cost,
Okay.
or the guide's daily salary multiplied by the number of trek days.
Okay.
So if you're on a 10-day trek and your guide's daily salary is, whatever it might be, you multiply that by 10, get the total, and then 10%. That's your starting point.
Okay, so we got a starting point.
Mhm.
Now, I'm guessing it's not that simple, right?
No, it's not that
Well-
simple. It's not just a one-size-fits-all situation.
Okay.
That percentage that we've just talked about, 10%, should be adjusted up or down based on your guide's performance.
I see. So this is where it becomes a little more nuanced, right?
Right, exactly.
So it's not just about the money. It's about rewarding genuine effort and like exceptional service.
Exactly. He gives some really good real-life examples in his guidebook and on his website. So for instance, let's say you have a guide who's constantly going above and beyond, sharing all kinds of knowledge about the wildlife or the mountains.
Great. Yeah.
You might want to add, an extra 5% on top of that initial 10%.
Right.
Just to say, hey, I really appreciated that. You went above and beyond.
You were great.
Yeah. And then he's got another example. Like, let's say you have a guide who's super patient and helps you practice your Nepali language skills.
That's fun.
You might want to give them a 20% tip.
Okay, so there's there's a range there.
Yeah,
Depending on how exceptional.
exactly. It's not just about the money. It's about that personal touch.
I see.
Now, of course, on the flip side, if you're having, a guide who's maybe not pulling their weight, they're uncommunicative, they're constantly complaining, or even worse, like constantly hinting at tipping, then, David Ways suggests deducting from that 10%, maybe even going down to 0
Wow.
if it's really bad.
Okay, so there are consequences for not performing well.
There are. You don't want to reward bad behavior,
Right.
and you want to reward good behavior.
And you want to encourage people to be good guides, right?
Exactly.
Now, so we've talked about the guides. What about porters? The people
Yeah.
who are carrying all the gear.
Yeah.
Is it the same kind of deal, or is it a little different?
The same kind of principle applies.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, the porter's duties are often a little more straightforward.
Right, but they're still essential to the trek.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're having a porter who speaks really good English or is very helpful with information or just has a very positive attitude, you should acknowledge that.
Right. Everyone on the team is, part of the experience.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that, everyone's hard work is recognized.
Absolutely. And, speaking of going above and beyond, there's a really heartwarming anecdote that David Ways shares in one of his books about a porter who was given a thank you gift, a chicken.
A chicken.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it turned out that this porter had recently lost his own prized chicken, and the guide knew that replacing it would be just the most meaningful and culturally sensitive gesture.
Wow. That's really thoughtful.
Yeah, and I think it just highlights how important it is to be mindful of the local customs and to show appreciation in a way that's really meaningful to the people that you're interacting with.
So it's not always just about the money, it's about understanding.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we've talked about the guides, we've talked about the
Yeah.
porters. What about the trekking agency itself?
Well, David Weiss says tipping the agency itself is not generally expected
Okay.
unless they've gone above and beyond, like maybe they helped you secure permits during a really busy festival or provided some kind of exceptional support. Yep.
But he does say that if you do decide to tip your guide, it's always best to do it directly
Okay.
and discreetly, rather than giving it to the agency to pass on.
Why? Why is that? Why is it better to do it directly?
Well, there can sometimes be issues with jealousy or potential salary discrepancies, or even just the tip not reaching the intended person.
Okay.
So it's always best to just be discreet and direct.
Okay. So we've talked about like how much, but now when's the best time to actually like give the tip and like how do you do it?
Yeah. Well, the ideal time is at the end of the trek when you're saying your goodbyes.
Okay.
And the key here is privacy.
Okay.
You don't want to make a big show of it. Just find a quiet moment away from other people, express your sincere gratitude, and then discreetly hand over the cash.
Okay.
He even suggests, offering to take your guide out for a meal and then tipping them at the end of the meal.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah, it can feel a little less transactional and a little more personal.
Right. Like we've been on this journey together. Exactly. And now, we're having this last moment together and this is a thank you.
Exactly.
And cash is, I'm guessing, the preferred method here.
Absolutely. Always cash.
Yeah.
While it might seem kind to offer used gear or other items, it can actually be misconstrued or even embarrassing.
Right.
And, you're really trying to respect their dignity and give them the freedom to use the money as they see fit.
So cash is king in this situation.
Cash is king. And he specifically mentions that Nepali rupees, US dollars, or euros are the best options.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the history of tipping in Nepal. We've talked about, how to calculate the right amount.
Right.
We've talked about how to give the tip.
Right.
But what if you come from a culture where tipping is not customary?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And David Weiss does address this directly in his writings.
Okay.
And he says, generally you won't have a problem if you don't tip in Nepal. Nepali people are very understanding of cultural differences.
But there are some nuances, especially during peak season.
Oh, okay, so peak season changes things a little bit.
It does. During peak season, some of the more experienced guides and agencies, well, they might prioritize trekkers from tipping cultures.
Yeah, I could see how that would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're a guide and you know that someone's likely to tip you at the end,
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to give them a little extra attention, or maybe you're going to be more willing to, go the extra mile.
Yeah, it becomes kind of a supply and demand issue almost,
Yeah.
where those who are willing to tip generously might have an edge in securing the most experienced guides.
Okay. So what do you do if you come from a culture where you don't tip?
Right. Well, David Weiss acknowledges that this does create a bit of a two-tier system, which can be a little bit unfair, but he emphasizes that it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get stuck with a bad guide if you're not from a tipping culture.
Okay.
It just might be harder to secure a really experienced guide, especially at a competitive price.
I see.
Those guides are in high demand.
So there's like a premium.
Yeah, there's a premium.
Okay. So if you find yourself in that situation,
Yeah.
he recommends considering a guide finding service.
Yeah,
Like the one he offers on his website, for example.
exactly.
Okay.
Which can help you connect with reputable guides regardless of your tipping practices.
Right. So there are ways around it.
There are ways around it.
Okay. So we've talked about some of the positive things to look for, right?
Right.
Like a guide who's really knowledgeable or helpful with the language.
Right.
But what are some red flags to watch out for? Like, are there things that, should make you say, maybe this isn't the right guide for me?
Yeah, there are definitely some red flags. And David Weiss is very upfront about this.
Okay.
He says, be wary of guides who are constantly dropping hints about tipping or, trying to bombard you with sob stories.
Like trying to guilt you into it.
Yeah, exactly. Can really sour the experience. You
Right.
want to be enjoying your trek. You don't want to feel pressured or manipulated.
Right.
And he also says that if an agency insists that tipping is mandatory, that's a huge red flag.
Oh, wow.
Like, a reputable agency should respect your judgment and not try to coerce you.
Right. It should be like offered out of gratitude, not out of, obligation.
Yeah, exactly. It should be a genuine expression of appreciation.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about how much and how to tip and the red flags.
Right.
But let's get back to the heart of the matter. Why is cash the preferred method in Nepal?
Well, it goes beyond just convenience.
Okay.
In Nepal, receiving physical cash is viewed as a sign of respect.
No, interesting.
And it's a way to acknowledge the person's hard work.
Okay.
Offering used gear or other items, while you might think it's kind, can actually be seen as a little bit inappropriate or even insulting.
Oh, well.
So it's really about, honoring their work and giving them the agency to use the money as they see fit.
So it's about respecting their dignity and their autonomy.
Exactly. It's a cultural nuance that's important to be aware of. Remember, you're a guest in their country.
This has been really insightful. So before we wrap up, what would you say are like the most important takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think first and foremost, remember that tipping in Nepal is a relatively recent practice, and it's been heavily influenced by Western tourism.
Okay.
It's not mandatory,
Okay.
but it is an expected courtesy in many situations.
So approach it as a way to show genuine appreciation rather than an obligation.
Exactly. And if you do choose to tip, always do it directly
Okay.
and discreetly.
No need to make a big show of it.
No, not at all. And as we discussed, cash is the preferred method.
Cash is king
Cash is king. It conveys respect.
and gives them the freedom to use it as they see fit.
Exactly. And those little thoughtful gestures, like the chicken anecdote that we talked about,
Yeah.
can really leave a lasting positive impact.
And it shows that you're paying attention.
Look at your
You're
ad.
not just, throwing money at the problem.
Right.
You're actually trying to connect with the person and the culture.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think that's a good reminder that, be wary of any pressure tactics
Yes.
or agencies that try to make you feel obligated to tip.
Absolutely. Your comfort and your peace of mind are paramount.
Right.
Choosing the right guide and the right agency can make all the difference.
Absolutely. So if our listener wants to learn more about, the intricacies of trekking in Nepal, finding the perfect guide,
Right.
where should they go?
I highly recommend David Way's The Longest Way Home Nepal travel website.
It's a great resource.
Yeah.
It covers everything from like detailed trek descriptions,
Yeah.
practical tips on gear, permits, and of course, tipping etiquette.
And he also has some excellent guidebooks as well,
Yeah.
packed with firsthand advice and local knowledge.
We'll be sure to include links to all of that in the show notes.
Great.
So whether you're a seasoned trekker or a first-time adventurer, approach tipping with respect and awareness.
Exactly.
And make it a gesture that really reflects your appreciation for the incredible experience that you're about to have in Nepal.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Speaking of incredible experiences, as we wrap up this discussion on tipping, I want to touch on something we haven't really talked about, which is the emotional aspect of it.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. It's not just a financial transaction.
Exactly. I mean, for both the guide receiving the tip and the trekker giving it, there's a deeper layer there.
I'm curious to hear what you're thinking.
Imagine you're a guide and you've, spent days, weeks, really putting your heart and soul into this trek, making sure that everyone is safe, that they're having a good time.
Right.
And then, at the end, they express their gratitude and they give you this tip that really reflects that appreciation.
Yeah.
It must be really validating.
It is. I think it reinforces that sense of pride in the work and that the value that they bring to the experience.
Yeah.
It makes them feel seen, and appreciated, especially given, how challenging that profession can be sometimes.
And from the trekker side,
Mm.
giving that heartfelt tip, it kind of enhances your own experience.
Right.
It becomes a tangible way to say thank you,
Right.
to acknowledge the impact that someone has had on your journey.
It completes the circle in a way,
Yeah.
It elevates it from just a transaction to a real gesture of respect and appreciation.
Right.
And it can even, foster a sense of connection, a shared humanity that goes beyond just cultural differences.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that travel at its core is about connecting with people and cultures.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, a simple act of generosity can create these ripples of positivity that extend far beyond just the trek itself.
I agree.
So as you prepare for your Nepal adventure, remember that tipping is more than just a financial transaction. It's a chance to acknowledge that human connection, express your gratitude, and create a lasting positive impact on yourself and on the people who have helped you along the way.
For those who want to delve even deeper into the world of trekking in Nepal, I highly recommend checking out David Way's The Longest Way Home Nepal travel website and his guidebooks.
Yes, they're fantastic resources full of practical advice, tips, everything you need to plan an unforgettable journey.
Absolutely.
We'll be sure to include links to all of those in the show notes.
Perfect.
Happy trekking, everyone.